Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into a question that, let's be honest, is on everyone's mind in the age of AI. If you use an artificial intelligence to help create something, who actually owns it? Yeah, it's a big one. Let's get right into it.
So, picture this. You've just spent hours, maybe even days, working with an AI to write this incredible document. It could be a report, an article, whatever. It's finished. It's brilliant. But who owns the copyright? Is it you? Is it the company that made the AI? Is it nobody? Look, this isn't some sci-fi problem for the future. This is happening right now. And to get our heads around it, we need to understand one really important legal concept.
And that big idea is this: the dominant creative force. This is basically the legal system's measuring stick. It's how they ask, okay, when a person and a machine work together on this, who was really calling the creative shots? Who was the author and who or what was just the tool? Getting a handle on this one concept, it's the key to unlocking everything else we're going to talk about. Now, to really get why that dominant force thing matters so much, we have to rewind a bit and look at the whole point of copyright law in the first place. For literally centuries, it's been built on one single, very human-centric idea. Copyright is there to protect the unique stuff that comes out of a human brain. It's designed for people, not programs.
And the law itself has had to evolve on this. Way back when, there was this old idea called sweat of the brow. And it meant pretty much what it sounds like. If you just put in the hard work, the effort, that was enough to get you a copyright. But that's not how it works anymore. Today, most modern legal systems, especially in the US, demand what they call a modicum of creativity. So plain old labor isn't enough. There has to be a little human creative spark, even a tiny one, for a work to get protected.
And this isn't just a US thing, not at all. You can look all over the world and you see the same basic principle. In the United States, they call human authorship a bedrock requirement. The European Union says a work has to reflect the author's personal touch. Over in India, it requires skill and judgment from the human. See? The word's a little different, but the message is crystal clear. A human being has to be at the creative controls.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this whole dominant creative force thing actually play out in the real world? Well, let's put it to the test. We're going to walk through 3 really common scenarios of people working with AI, and we'll see exactly where the law draws that line on who the author is.
So we're going to look at this at 3 different levels. First, we'll see the AI as just a simple assistant. Then, we'll ramp it up to the AI being more of a creative partner. And finally, we'll see what happens when the AI pretty much takes the lead.
All right, scenario 1. Here, you are the architect. You've laid out the whole structure. You've written all the core arguments of your document. All you're doing is asking the AI to act like a super-powered research assistant. Go find me some sources, check these facts, tell me if my points hold up. In this case, the answer is simple, clear-cut. You, the human, hold the copyright. Why? Because you had full creative control over every expressive part of the work. The AI was just a very, very fancy tool, no different than a grammar checker or a search engine. You were the dominant creative force, 100%.
Okay, on to scenario 2. This is where the water starts to get a little murky. You still write the main arguments, but this time, you let the AI analyze your work, and it actually starts suggesting entirely new paragraphs or new points to add. It's not just checking your work, it's contributing creative content of its own.
And yeah, this is where it gets complicated. So the specific sentences the AI generates all by itself, they might not be copyrightable. But, and this is a huge but, if you are the one who reviews those suggestions, picks the ones you like, arranges them just so, and edits them to fit your voice, well, that entire process of selecting and arranging, that's a human creative act. You are still the dominant force here. You're the curator, the editor of the final piece.
And that brings us to our last scenario. Here, you give the AI a very simple, one-line prompt. Something like, write an analysis of the economic impact of this new policy. Then you just lean back, and the AI does everything else. It does the research, it comes up with the arguments, it structures the whole thing, and it writes the entire document from start to finish.
In this case, the outcome is pretty definitive. You, the user, can't claim the copyright, and here's why. A prompt is just an idea. And copyright law is very clear that it doesn't protect ideas, it protects the expression of ideas. Since the AI made all the decisions about how to express that analysis, the words it chose, the sentence structure, how it synthesized the information, the AI was the dominant creative force. You were just the one who gave it the assignment.
So all of this naturally leads to a really critical question. If you are the dominant creative force, how on earth do you prove it? Well, in this new world of digital creation, you kind of have to start thinking like a detective and build a rock-solid case for your own authorship.
You got to create what's basically a digital paper trail. This means keeping detailed logs of all your prompts, showing exactly how you guided the AI's output. It means using version control or tracking your edits so you can see every single addition, deletion, and change you made. The more evidence you have of your own intellectual fingerprints all over that final product, the stronger your claim to being the author is going to be.
So, what's the big takeaway here for anyone creating with AI? Well, it really demands a fundamental shift in how you see your role in the whole process.
It's really about this, moving from being a passive user to being a truly active author. This quote from our source material really nails it. The key isn't just about giving instructions, it's about demonstrating active, documented oversight. It's not enough to just be the client who gives the order. You have to prove you were the director and the editor every single step of the way.
When you boil it all down, even with all this incredible new technology, the old rules still find a way to make sense. That uniquely human element, call it your personal touch, your skill and judgment, your creative spark, that is still the secret ingredient that copyright law was and is designed to protect.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on, right? As these AI tools get smarter and more capable, what's it even going to mean to be a human creator? And how are we going to prove that the creative spark was really ours? Thanks for joining me on this one.